put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My life has seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My life has seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. Money, money, money. All you got is nothing wrong with being wealthy. Like Kanye West said, having money is not everything, not having it is. No, Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives us the ability to create wealth. No, it's the love of money that's the root of all this. You don't like money so much, why you get up and go to work? You have to do it in your own part of the day. Everything you got. I'm just trying to leave a legacy for money. It's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr. H Cortez.
Good morning, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, H Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, coming to you live and direct from the Black Wealth Movement Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. Guys, if you are still sitting on the fence as it relates to the Black Wealth Movement, you want to go to www.blackwealthmovement2017.com to learn what this thing is all about. We are literally rebuilding the Black community one family at a time. How do you do that? You have to have anybody who's talking about leading the Black community and they're not talking about personal financial success. It's going to be tough for them to do anything with that movement. Black people are struggling financially, and I don't care what the causes are that are breaking down our communities. Unless I am personally financially successful, it's going to be hard for me to focus on helping out in the community. I often say that I don't really care about the fires that's going on in the community when my house is burning down. And that's what's happening. We have a lot of issues in the Black community, but also there are a lot of issues within the singular Black home for Black people. And if we can't help them first put those fires out, get those things under control, it's going to be hard for them to unite and deal collectively with the problems in the community. So the Black Wealth Movement teaches wealth building principles in 5 core areas: entrepreneurship, tax minimization, debt elimination, credit education, and also asset accumulation. We want to get you personally, financially healthy, because we know that when we get you to a place where your cup runneth over, then that excess will spill into the community and we can do some greater things. So if you're serious, go to blackwealthmovement2017.com to learn more, or you can inbox me or text me the keyword phrase Black Wealth Movement to 314-874-6887. I'd be happy to share with you more about what it is that we're doing in the community and the company that we're partnering with to get the resources and the education that we need to understand the language of America. See, you guys think, or most people think, that the language in America is English. Most people think that the primary language in America is English. No, English is the second language in America. The primary language in America is capitalism. And if you don't understand capitalism, you will struggle here in America for every waking day. You have to be able to speak capitalism in this country if you are to thrive. So do me a huge favor. If you're checking this out on Periscope, go ahead and hit the little man in the corner so you can subscribe to the feed. And also go ahead and invite your followers on Twitter to come check us out. We're talking about stimulating the Black economy. This is part 3 of a 3-part series. Same thing, you guys on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And then go ahead and copy the link to today's episode and share it on your favorite social media timeline, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like to share links. Go ahead and introduce this show to other people. We've got to start talking more about how to fix our problems. We know the media is going to beat us down with what's wrong in our communities. We've got to get to talking about what's right and taking action to make some of those things manifest. And you guys on Facebook, do me the same favor. Go ahead and share the stream if you have not already. And make sure that you turn on notifications so that you get notified every morning at 7 that we're going live. Don't you start with me, Facebook. Let's see. What is the deal? Let me see something here. Let me see if I can get Facebook reconnected. My Wi-Fi is on, yeah. All right. All right. Sorry about that, Facebook. I'm not sure. I'm on Wi-Fi in my house like I am every morning, so I'm not sure why it's tripping and flaking out. But if it does flake out, you guys know you can go to youtube.com/financial health mentor. We're streaming live over there, as well as on Periscope at Cortez Springer. But go ahead and share the stream out. Make sure that you turn on notifications so you get notified. And then the hearts and the likes and the thumbs up, that does mean something in the world of Facebook. So when you are doing that and engaging with the show, the more engagement we have, the more people Facebook will push the show out to. So that is important. So if I say something that makes sense to you, do the likes and the hearts and the thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. So today we're talking about stimulating the Black economy, part 3. We're talking about ownership, strategic partnership, and bartering. Ownership, strategic partnership, and bartering, guys. I don't know why our Black business owners are not owning where they build their businesses, right? Our Black business owners are the least likely to actually own where we are building. So how do I join the network, bruh? To network. Yeah, go to blackwealthmovement2017.com to learn more, but I will definitely get with you after the show as well, and we can chop it up, and I'll let you know what it's all about. So what we're talking about, ownership first. There's a lot of, we have Black-owned restaurants, Black-owned barbershops, Black-owned this, Black-owned that all over the country, but none of them are Black owners of the buildings that they are sitting their establishments in. Very few actually own the buildings where their business is operating. And we have to start looking at ownership more seriously. Yes, sometimes it's easier to find a lease somewhere, but when you're leasing somewhere, you are building someone else's asset versus building your own, right? So if you're a Black business owner, you're thinking about going into business, you're thinking about opening up your own shop, your own storefront, let's start thinking about and looking at ways that you can actually own the buildings versus leasing for 25 years. How many of you guys know things like barbershops and beauty salons and restaurants and stuff like that who've been leasing that space for 20 plus years? Put 20 plus in the comments if you know a Black-owned restaurant, shop owner, or salon that has been leasing their place for the last 20 years plus. Put 20 plus if you know at least one Black-owned restaurant, one Black-owned business that has been leasing for 20 plus years. See, we've got to come out of that situation, because that's how we continue to let more and more of our capital get out of our community, right? I know tons and tons and tons of barbershop owners, Black-owned restaurants. In fact, I only know one Black-owned restaurant that actually owns their building. They built it from scratch, right? They own the plot of land, then they built a building, and now they're running their restaurant, right? We know tons and tons of business owners that do not own the business, the structures that they operate their business. So that's the difference between being a business owner and being self-employed. Because when you're just a business owner, then when you're self-employed, you basically own a job. When you're self-employed, you basically own a job. But when you're a business owner, you start thinking about things like owning the building that you're in, right? And one of the things that you have to do is You have to think about, from a stimulating the Black economy standpoint, if you lease the building and the building needs a new roof, and you're not the owner of that building, you call the owner and said, hey, this place is leaking. Who gets that work? Who gets that contract to put the new roof on the building? Is it us, or is it likely the culture of the owner of the building going to get that work? If you own the business and the building needs a new roof, chances are you're going to contact a Black-owned roofer to come and put a new roof on the thing. See, we have to start thinking communally about everything. You don't own a business. The toilet is acting funny. You call the landlord. The landlord gonna call who? A plumber of another culture to come and fix that plumbing problem. And that could be money that's circling in our community. If you own the building, you have a relationship with a Black plumbing company, you call them and they come take care of the situation. And now that dollar stayed in the community one more cycle. So we're talking about stimulating the Black economy through ownership. What kinds of things should you be looking to own as an entrepreneur? First and foremost, if you're going into the ownership and you're saying, hey, I'm a barbershop owner, I'm a salon owner, I'm a restaurant owner, I own a mechanic shop, I own this, I own that. Start thinking about how can you leverage the same money that you're going to leverage for a lease long term. How can you leverage that to buy and own something? And if you're going to buy and own, you're going to leverage credit, you're going to leverage debt to buy and own something, you may as well make sure that you're owning a multi-purpose building. A multi-purpose building. So what does that mean? That means I own a storefront that has 3 or 4 individual spaces in them, so I can rent or lease to 3 or 4 other businesses. Then I also have apartments up top, 2 2-bedroom apartments. I can live in one, rent out the other. Now you are a business owner and not a self-employed person. Because whether your shop does good or not, speaking of the barbershop or whatever storefront business you own, you're renting to 3 other business owners and another tenant from an apartment standpoint. So we're going to leverage debt. You got most of our people are paying $1,000 a month for leases, and they're signing 10-year leases, 20-year leases. That means you're committed to being in one spot. You're committed to being there. Morning, Robert. So why not, if you're committed to being there, why not own that spot? And why not make sure that that spot is of a multi-purpose? So that as the owner, you have carved out your little space, so you get to run your business rent-free. Then you get to rent to 2 or 3 other people, and then maybe you rent to another tenant. Now you live on top of your shop, you rent to another family, and you rent to 3 other business owners. And now you operate your business rent-free. See, we've got to start looking at ownership very critically and how that can play into the piece of the puzzle. Now think about this: if you are a barber that's self-employed versus a barber that's a business owner. If you are a barber that's self-employed, you can only count the revenue that comes in off of your physical labor, your talent of cutting hair. If you are a business owner, on the other hand, now you count the revenue streams that comes into your shop, which is really cash flow positive because you don't have a lease to deal with because you get your shop rent free. But then you have 3 other rental units plus a residential rental unit. Now you have land, you have a building, you have passive cash flow there, and you have the actual physical structure as an asset. So you could be a barber worth $50,000 a year because that's what your talent says you're able to get. Or you could be a business owner who happens to cut hair worth $500,000 net worth. because you own a business that generates passive cash flow. This is what we're talking about, people. We stimulate the Black economy through ownership, because when you own, you're going to rent to other Black-owned businesses. You're going to call Black-owned servicemen to come and service your business. You're going to call the Black-owned lawn care company to come cut the grass. You're going to call on the Black maintenance crew to come and keep and maintain your business, of Black painters and carpenters and construction. When you want to expand, who do you call? You call a Black construction company to come expand on your property, right? This is what we have to be thinking about mindset wise. Yes, you can go into a long-term lease, but you can also go into a situation where you're owning that property. A lot of times we don't go into the situation to own because we don't understand capitalism. That's why the Black Wealth Movement is so critical, because we're going to help you understand capitalism, ownership, and we're going to make sure that you understand the power of credit, so that your credit is in good enough standing to, instead of going in and signing a 20-year lease at $1,200 a month, you go in and buy a building with good credit and you pay $600 a month for that same building, and you have a multi-purpose building that you can lease out and have other tenants pay the mortgage on the business. We've got to start thinking more strategically, and we've got to start thinking ownership, right? Ownership, multi-purpose structures. We're talking about stimulating the economy. Here's the other thing. When you own in a place, you setting up permanent residency. When you own in a community and set up permanent residency, you also then take ownership of that community. Meaning you're going to get involved in the politics of that community, meaning you're going to get involved in the policing of that community, meaning you're going to get involved in the beautification of that community, because your home is there, because what you own is there, because what you love is there, and you planted your flag there permanently. This is how we transform our communities, through ownership and stimulating the Black economy. If I own where I'm going to be, the place I live is above my shop, so I own there. So heck yes, I'm paying attention to the politics in the city where I own. Heck yeah, I'm paying attention to who's going to be the next police chief and all of that kind of stuff. Who they're bringing in to police this community. I'm paying a close attention to what's going on in this community, right? What's going on in this community. Yeah, that's what we do in the Black Wealth Movement, DeAndre. We might need to hook up. We might need to hook up. We do all of that, and we start to transform our communities through ownership, right? That's number one. So let me go back to the precursors to this. If we're going to stimulate the Black economy, there's two things that we have to do, three things that we have to do. First and foremost, we have to stop crying. We have to stop crying about what's not right and start focusing on what is right. Stop crying about what we don't have and start focusing on what we do have, and use what we do have to create the best of sometimes what is a negative situation, right? The second thing that we have to do is we have to know that everybody's not going to participate. We have to know that everybody's not going to participate. So let's stop waiting on everybody, all of Black America, to unite to think that's what it's going to take to fix our community. One thing I want you to think about is the top 1% of this world runs the other 99%. The top 1% of this world runs the other 99%. It don't take all of Black America to get this thing turned around. It takes 1% of the 43 million people, or whatever the number is, a solid 4,000 or 5,000 people, independently wealthy, working together to transform our situation is all it takes. It's all it takes. And then we do the exact same thing that other coaches do to run the world. They do it through manipulation. We might have to manipulate our own people to do the things we need them to do to have better, safer, stronger communities. We have to be able to move them without touching them. We have to be able to lead them without them knowing they're being led. That's what's happening to us right now, right? And the third thing is we work with those who are already doing the work. See, we like to work with people who sit on the sideline and cheer and talk about what they think needs to be done, and we're trying to work with them. They ain't doing the work. Work with those who are actually in the trenches doing the work. Not those who want to do the work, not those who wish to do the work, those who are actually doing the work. Those are the people that need to unite. Not all of Black America. The people who are doing the work need to take each little network of people that are doing the work, and they need to be connecting one with another. This organization is doing something great here. That organization is doing something great there. We're doing things in two different areas, and that's cool. You keep doing your thing, I keep doing my thing, but guess what? We're going the same direction, so eventually our paths are going to cross. So 3 things we got to stop doing if we're going to stimulate the economy. Number 1, stop crying, man. Stop crying. Crying ain't never solved nan one of our problems ever. In the history of Black people in the world, crying has never solved a single problem. Stop whining about what's wrong, what ain't right, and what they owe us and all that stuff, man. Stop it. That ain't never worked. In fact, you just look pathetic, man, and you ain't getting no respect like that. Number 2, stop waiting on all of Black America to unite and think that's what it takes to transform our situation. Not what it takes. All we need is a handful of committed. That's all we need. And then number 3, look for the people who are doing the work and join them in doing the work. Look for the people who are doing the work and join them. And then if you missed the first 2 episodes, episode 1, we talked about buying Black and how instead of focusing on the 98% of the Black dollar that's getting away from our community, let's focus on the 2% that's staying in. Okay, we know that, 98%, most of the Black dollar is leaving our community, but guess what? 2% are staying in the community. Let's start with that 2%. Let's turn and transform that 2% into something great, right? And then yesterday we talked about ownership, stimulating the Black economy through production, right? We got to start producing some of the things that we consume. We talked about if we just produce one thing, ketchup. We just produce ketchup, for instance, how that would create 500 to 1,000 jobs directly, and 500,000 to 1,000,000 jobs directly, and then probably another 2 or 3 million jobs indirectly. Because you got to know, when you create a million jobs and 1,000,000 people has a regular paycheck, they're going to go out and spend that regular paycheck, and that's going to create millions of other jobs indirectly. What we got to start doing. So today we're talking about stepping it up a notch and getting into the ownership of everywhere we operate business. I'm not saying that if you're in a lease today, you break your lease today. But if you're in a lease and you got 5 years left in that lease, then that means you got 5 years to go strategically plot out a piece of land that you can buy, get yourself in order so you can get the capital that you need to build on that land, and you build a multi-purpose structure on that land that's going to allow you to operate your business, rent out to a couple other people in business, and if you have the capacity to put a couple of rental units on top, why the heck not? Why the heck not? Because now, whether your business is booming or not, you still have cash flow and you still have an asset. that you're going to be able to pass down to future generations. You have an asset that you can leverage and go buy another asset. That's the reason that Black people have the median net worth that we have. The lowest in amongst all other cultures is because we do not own anything. That's the reason a Black-owned construction company and a white-owned construction company, the difference in the net worth of the two owners is usually $1 million plus. Why? Because the other owner owns their equipment, they own the building and different structures, they own assets. Every time we go to do a job, we have to go and lease the Bobcat because we have not understood the value of owning assets instead of going to buy the Bobcat. So we own that asset. So they have $1 million worth of equipment that they own, and that adds to their net worth. So when they want to go and expand their business, they say, I have $1 million business as collateral, as an asset. Can you give me another $10 million to grow this infrastructure? So we got to understand ownership, asset accumulation. So if you are a Black entrepreneur and you're not in a business of your own yet, don't think about going to lease. Think about putting yourself in position in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or whatever, to go buy you a piece of land, buy you a multi-purpose property to put on that land, and you lease some of it out, put your establishment there, and now you have a business that is an asset, and then you have a separate rental business, property management business that is another asset, and then you have a physical structure that is a third asset. This is how we want to stimulate the Black economy. And every time you need something done, you want to expand, you need to remodel, what do? You call a Black general contractor. Who is that Black general contractor going to call to do the electrical work? He's going to call Black electricians. Who is a Black general contractor going to call when he needs to do the plumbing work? He's going to contract with a Black plumbing company. Who is he going to call when he needs to get the roof tightened up? He's going to contract with a Black roofer. That's how it goes, man. You create your own economy, right? Through ownership. Now, we talked about not only ownership, but what about strategic partnerships? Riddle me this. We're talking about strategic partnerships. That means Black businesses partnering one with another where there is synergy and alignment. Black businesses partnering one with another where there is synergy and alignment. And keep in mind, because I know some of you guys are thinking, because we've been trained to think this way, Black people can't work together. The ones who are doing the work can, I promise you. Because when you're doing work and somebody else is doing work, it is very easy to come together to make that work light. The reason Black people can't work, the Black people that can't work together that you're talking about, is those Black people who don't do any work. They're not working at all. So when they start to try to come together to even put some thoughts together, they've never done any work. So they don't know anything about collaboration, because in order to be a collaborator, you have to be doing some work on your own first and foremost. So remember, we're only going to work with those who are doing the work. So when we talk about strategic partnerships where there is synergy and alignment, I want you to riddle me this. If Black women, everyone I know has a story where they complain about the Korean nail techs. If every Black woman you know complains about the Korean nail tech, why isn't there a Black nail tech in every Black-owned salon? Why isn't there a Black nail tech in every Black-owned salon? See, we've got to talk about strategic partnerships, strategic planning, long-term for multi-generational wealth building. If there are not enough Black nail technicians for every Black nail tech, We go back to what we talked about on Monday, is the blackboard approach. Why isn't inside every black salon, there is a list of all of the black nail technicians in all of the cities? So if there isn't, there's just, right now, there's probably just not enough black nail technicians, but black people have been getting their nails done for years. So when I go to a black nail salon, I should see on a blackboard, hey, here is a list of the 5 black nail techs in the St. Louis metropolitan area. And when my sisters fall out or they fall in and I'm doing their hair and they're talking about, hey, I got to go get my nails done, you point to the blackboard, pick one of those 5 and go get them done there. See, we're talking about strategic partnerships and stimulating the black economy by helping one another, right? That is just one area where we could do that. You have your black salons. Why aren't there? When I go into a black barbershop or a black nail black hair salon or a black nail salon, I should see a list of all the black-owned beauty supply stores in the St. Louis metropolitan area. And I can take it one step further. If you bring me your $800 weave for me to sew it into your hair, and you don't show me a receipt from the black-owned beauty supply company that you bought it from, go somewhere else and get your hair done. Huh? Yeah, I didn't hear that. Let me run it back. If you're going to come to my shop to get your hair done, and you're going to bring in that $800 bundle of hair for me to sew into your head, which I have no problem doing if that's the look you want. This is what I do for a living. But there's one thing that I require before I put my hands in your head. You have to show me the receipt that you bought this bundle, you spent this $800, which is crazy to me, but anyway, you spent this $800 on this hair at the black-owned beauty supply company. Huh? That's, yeah. And because you showed me the receipt, I'm going to give you a discount because I know that you're about nation builders, and I'm trying to help anybody who's about nation building. So it normally costs you $400 for me to sew this stuff in your head. You bought this hair from a black-owned nail shop that I have, a black-owned beauty supply that I have a relationship with. I'm going to give you $100 off your sew-in today. I'm going to give you $100 off your sew-in today because you bought this from a black beauty supply. Yeah, Corbell, we got to start thinking, man. We got to start thinking. We got to bring consciousness. Yes, economic empowerment. Yes, we got to bring that back to the community, Robert. So we're talking about now strategic partnerships. So now the beauty salon has a partnership with the black-owned beauty supply company. And when I go to buy this $800 worth of hair, I'm showing you my membership card that I have with the black-owned salon that you have a partnership with. So you're going to give me 10% off my purchases because we're in partnership. I'm going to send, I do, if you're a black stylist, chances are you have 50 regular customers. And I'm going to partner with the black beauty supply company. I say, hey, all of my prime customers have this emerald card. When they show you this emerald card, I'm going to make sure all 50 of them come and buy their hair from you. When they show you this emerald card, can we agree that you're going to give them a 10% discount on their hair? If you're willing to do that, you will have them as customers for life. And now I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to have the 2 other stylists in my shop do the same thing. And we're going to run all of our traffic to you. How are you going to ensure that they're going to come and shop with me? Because when they show me the receipt that they shop with you, they're going to in turn get a discount on their hairstyle from me. But this only works. It's not going to work with everybody, but who is it going to work with? It's only going to work with those who are already doing the work. And that's how you form a network and a bond and a strategic partnership. We ain't playing around. See, I'm putting this out there so y'all can go and do it and implement it yourselves. But if y'all don't worry, I'll be a billionaire by 2027. So I'll be executing all this stuff on my own if I have to. Don't worry. Don't even worry. But if y'all want to take it and run with it, cool. Let's take it and run with it. How about this? How about this, right? In all of our urban communities, there is a food desert. How many of you guys know? I want you to type in the chat, Black restaurant. If you know a Black restaurant with a ton of space because they went and leased this big old space, they got dine-in seating, and nobody ever dines in there. We're talking about strategic partnerships here. If you know of a Black-owned restaurant that has all of this seating for dine-in, but nobody ever dines in, meaning they're leasing space that they don't even use. Anybody know any Black-owned restaurants like that? I got a dine-in restaurant, but all of my customers treat it like it's a takeout spot. So now I've got chairs stacked up on this and boxes all over it because nobody ever dines in. Nobody ever dines in. So I'm leasing space that nobody ever dines in. So now I'm paying for square footage that I'm not even using. How about this? In the urban community, we know that they're just food deserts. We know that there are food deserts. Why not in some of those Black-owned restaurants that got all of that extra space? Yes, please share the show. If you just came on late, go ahead and share the stream. Why not take some of that extra space and maybe 2 or 3 days a week, you let a farmer come in and do a small produce shop in that extra space. So you got a Black-owned restaurant that's doing good business takeout. Nobody's dining in, so you're paying for that extra space. Why not lease that extra space to a small-owned farmer and have them come in and set up a little farmer's market on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Now they're paying you to lease that space a couple of days a week. That's going to help you with your lease. So you're creating a strategic partnership. Now you're adding value to the community because you're giving ease of access to quality, nutritious food to the community. And then as that partnership develops, you might want to start getting some of your fresh produce from that entity. Huh? This ain't rocket science, y'all. This is thinking like an owner, thinking like a boss. We have problems finding good quality produce in our communities. We have Black-owned restaurants all in our community with excess space they're paying for that they're not using. Rent that space a couple of days a week to somebody to bring in some fresh produce, and they can sell the fresh produce to the community right there. Optimize the use of the space to maximize circulation of currency in the Black community. Robert, you with me? You see me? You see me? Strategic partnerships. We're bringing value back to the community. Now we're helping another business owner feed his family. And who knows, based on that weekend situation, that farmer might grow big enough to start his own small little store. And you might just in 10 years be the catalyst to help that farmer create his own supermarket. You think he ever forgets you? He might even say, hey, why not you take stake in this this supermarket chain that I'm putting together. For a small $20,000, I'll give you 20% of ownership because you helped me in this capacity. You helped to launch this vision, this dream. We're talking about strategic partnerships to stimulate the economy in the Black community. Riddle me this. If all Black-owned restaurants sell hamburgers, sell something with bread, why aren't they in partnership with the Black-owned bakeries so that the Black-owned bakeries can produce all of the buns and the breads and the muffins and the rolls, the cakes and the pies that they sell? If all Black-owned restaurants, I don't care if they're not selling sandwiches, we are good at giving away 2 slices of bread with something. If all Black-owned restaurants have something and some bread somewhere in their establishments, why aren't they in partnership with the Black bakeries? Why isn't there a relationship that says, hey, I sell this amount of hamburgers every 2 days. I need this amount of hamburger buns delivered to my restaurant every other morning. I'm a barbecue place, and every day I run through 40 loaves of bread because I give 2 loaves of bread out to, I give 2 slices of bread out for every sandwich or every meal. So if we can enter into a strategic partnership, can you get me 40 loaves of bread every day? Can you get me 40 loaves of bread every day? And guess what? Now you can justify the higher price because you're not giving week-old Wonder Bread and Bunny Bread and all this. You got fresh bread every day out of your restaurant because you strategically partner with a Black bakery. Now, the Black baker don't have to struggle to sell donuts because he's got partnerships with 3, 4, 5 restaurants where he's in the middle of the night baking tons and tons of fresh bread to deliver to all of the restaurants every day, every 2 days. And then he's in partnership with a Black delivery service that got 10 vans, and they're taking the breads and they're doing the deliveries every morning. Stimulating the Black economy by thinking strategically. Strategic partnerships. Strategic partnerships. Strategic partnerships. And then how do they help each other? We go back to Tuesday show when we talked about the blackboard and the black bag concept. All over the Black-owned restaurant where they're getting the bread, it says fresh bread daily from XYZ bakery. So that baker never has to spend any money on advertising. On the menus of that Black restaurant, they highlight that we have fresh bread daily from XYZ bakery. The Black baker never has to advertise because now he's in a business-to-business relationship with other business owners. So from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Black bakery is selling donuts, right? But from 10 a.m. till about 6 p.m., he's baking fresh bread for delivery to all the Black-owned restaurants. Come on, this stuff ain't hard, y'all. It ain't hard. This other cultures are doing this all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. But again, we're trying to do this with those who are not doing the work, and we're trying to make them see the vision. No, go to those Black-owned restaurants that are nation building, and you say, "Hey, here's a suggestion for you. I noticed that there's a Black-owned bakery across town. Do you think it would be too far-fetched for you to connect with that Black-owned bakery and have them deliver you some fresh bread every day?" that would increase the value of your products, because now you got fresh bread every day. Y'all, I'm telling you, man, this stuff ain't hard, but just know that y'all can take some of this stuff and y'all can run with it. Y'all can start rebuilding in y'all community. I'll be a billionaire by 2027. So this stuff is going to happen. It's going to happen. And the reason I love doing these shows and talking about it like this, so when it does happen, say, dude, put that plan in motion 10 years ago. Clocking dollars 24/7. Yeah, right? Strategic partnerships, right? And that's just one example. I'm sure all of y'all can think of 1,000 other examples, man, of how companies can partner strategically one with another, right? Strategic partnerships. We can just do stuff like that, man. And that's what Mac, that's what we was talking about yesterday, networking and the dollar cycling. See, when we don't produce anything, the dollar can't cycle but 1 or 2 times in our community, right? So if we don't produce, then even when I buy black, that's good. I'm helping a black family, a black business, a black establishment. But then that black business, that black establishment takes the money and has to go deal with a white wholesaler, a white buyer, or a white manufacturer. Then that dollar cycled, but it only cycled once. But if we start producing, so take that same scenario where the black baker, now he's a small black baker right now. So he probably only has the capacity to bake that much bread for maybe 1 or 2 restaurants. And that's cool. But as he's baking that much bread for those 1 or 2 restaurants, we have to make sure that we're encouraging him to source your wheat, your sugar, and all of your raw materials from black wholesalers. Now, we probably can't get black manufacturers and black buyers and black farmers yet, but that's where we have to go all the way up the chain to where everything that black baker needs to bake his bread to supply those black restaurants start with a black farmer, right? But if he's getting his supplies from a black wholesaler, at least, then the money cycles from a black consumer to a black-owned restaurant. The black-owned restaurant cycles it again to a black baker. The black baker cycles it one more time to a black wholesaler, and now it is circulated 3 or 4 or 5 times in the community before it left to go to a black buyer, a white buyer, or another culture to get the mass produce, the mass product, right? But ultimately, that black baker is sharing his success with other black bakers nationally. And then they're starting to come together and say, you know what? This is cool for you guys, but as a black baker, I want to get out of the baking business from doing it day to day. But let me get into buying and sourcing the grains and the wheats and the sugars and the flours. And now I can become the supplier for all of you guys and make sure that you have all of what you need. So now the money is circling from the black consumer to the black restaurant, to the black baker, to the black wholesaler, and to the black buyer. Eventually, that black buyer starts to talk to black farmers and say, hey, you got all of this land, and I know you got out of the farming business because it was just tough on you, but you got children, right? You still got the knowledge of wheat farming, right? Pick 2, 3, 4, 5 of your kids and your grandkids and some of their friends and talk to them about the money that's in black farming now. And tell them to turn your land over and start producing wheat. I have tons of black bakeries that are looking to buy wheat from black farmers. And now we're getting it from the source, and we own the whole line. We own the whole industry. We own the whole chain. That's what we're talking about, man. Right? Who eats more chicken than black people? Why aren't all of the black-owned restaurants forming a black-owned meat sourcing spot so that they can all get their chicken at a cheaper price? So I don't have to go to the black-owned restaurant and pay $15 for a chicken dinner when Wingstop got the same chicken dinner for $8. But the reason they can't do that and they have to charge a little bit more is because they're sourcing their products singularly as one restaurant, because they don't understand strategic partnerships and collaboration. If all 50 of y'all came together and bought chicken wings by the truckload, like Wingstop does with all of its 50,000 stores or however many stores they got all over the country, you can bring down the price of your wings. And now you can compete with some of those chain stores because you have, in essence, formed a chain. Even though you guys aren't a franchise, you formed a chain because you've pooled your buying power. This stuff ain't hard, man. Just takes a little bit of strategy. And we didn't even get to bartering today, but that's another way that we can create business-to-business relationships through bartering, right? Not only do, when you create these strategic partnerships and these business-to-business relationships, one of the best things that will come out of them is the best practices. See, when you are partnered with all of these businesses and you're partnered with a successful business, they have a tremendous amount of success in this area. You got your success in this area. You partner with another business over here, they're winning. And this way, you start to form best practices. You start to form a standard of excellence that says, you know what? I see you're doing this and you're winning because of it. I'm doing this and this is causing me to win. So if you add this to what you're doing, I add what you're doing to what I'm doing. Now we're creating what's called a standard of excellence. You understand our people fundamentally in this way. I understand them fundamentally in that way. How do we bridge that knowledge of the psyche of our people to get more of the black dollar circulating in the community? See, strategic partnership will help the businesses, but you also start learning from each other as partners, and you start saying, hey, I see that your marketing is phenomenal, but your customer service isn't that great. My customer service isn't that great, but my customer service is great, but my marketing is in the tank. Let's exchange resources. Let's barter those resources. I will give you some resources to help you with customer service. You give me some of your resources to help me with my marketing, and we create this standard of excellence based on best practices that are working for more than one business. Because if I see your marketing is good, your marketing is good, your marketing is good, your marketing is good, you make 100,000 a year, you make 80,000, you make 90, you make 100, and I'm in the same business, but I'm only making 50, then that tells me I've got to step my marketing game up. So let me go to you and learn from you guys what you're doing in the marketing department. And we're looking at you saying, damn, your marketing sucks, but you're still staying afloat at $50,000 a year, and your marketing sucks. How are you doing that? Oh, well, I've got these recipes. I've got this system in place that makes me really fast. But if I add marketing with my speed, then I can probably be at the $100,000 level with you. Okay, well, teach us your system and we'll teach you our marketing. Huh? Did I say anything today that was hard for us to do? Did I lay out any complicated strategy? This is where the Black Wealth Movement is going, y'all. So you guys, some of you guys are on the fence about the Black Wealth Movement because you can only see phase one. Well, I can't lay out the whole strategy for the Black Wealth Movement in a 1-hour video. Just understand that the Black Wealth Movement is going to another level, and I need soldiers to help me in this fight to push first financial literacy in our community, because when you're financially literate, then everything else will start to fall into place. right? Money don't fix every problem, but it fixes a lot of problems. Money don't fix every problem, but it fixes a lot of problems. And when you fix some of those other problems that money can fix, then you might be able to fix the relationship problem that you can't fix with money. But if we fussing and fighting over money, then we'll never get to the core issue of our relationship problem because we can't get past the money problem. But if we can fix the money problem, then we can have the wherewithal to start working on some of the other problems that money can't fix. So the Black Wealth Movement is about helping Black people fix the money problem first and foremost. And then we're going to start fixing community problems once you put the fire out in your house and we get 1,000 people that are financially independent. Now those 1,000 people can go come collectively together and start putting out fires in our communities. That's what this thing is all about. So the Black Wealth Movement is beyond you partnering with us and learning how to minimize your taxes, eliminate your debt, invest, fix your credit. Yeah, those are core, that's foundational. But when we get beyond the foundational stuff and you have your foundation solid, your legacy is intact because you got your investments, you're putting away money, and you're out of debt, you own your home, so that's an asset now. So we want to get you to that level. And then when you're independently wealthy and you have both money freedom and time freedom, see, there's a lot of Black people who got money, but they don't have time to help deal with any of the issues in the community. And then there's all those conscious brothers and sisters who got all the time in the world, but they don't have any money, any financial resources to make any moves. So they're constantly in a state of fundraising or begging others to do what we should be doing ourselves. So we want to help those brothers and sisters who are conscious in our community develop their own financial resources. Now you don't got to wait on nobody to give you no donation to go make something happen in the community. Because that's our problem. We sit back and we look at all of those wealthy Black people, entertainers and athletes and all that stuff, and like, man, they got enough money that they can go build a school a month for forever if they just put their money together. But the problem is those people have no consciousness. But then we have the people with all the consciousness in the world. They know all the history. They are well learned. They have strategies and ideas. They know what the problems are. They have solutions, but they don't have the capital resources to execute the solution. So the Black Wealth Movement is about getting those with consciousness to develop their own capital so we can move forward with the agendas that you have in place. That's why I got to be a billionaire. It's not a vain call to action for me, because I'm the type of dude that can go build me a mud hut and live off the land and be completely straight. But that don't do nothing for my people. So I've got to race to $1 billion in the next 10 years so I have the financial resources and the connections with other independently wealthy people that I have a Rolodex of 1,000 people that I can call and say, I need 100 stacks for this project. And if they're all independently wealthy, what you got going on now, H? Hey man, I'm building a strip right in the heart of St. Louis City, right? I'm transforming Martin Luther King, and it runs for 6 miles from Wellston to downtown. I'm transforming that whole strip. I need 100 stacks from 1,000 people. I got you, bro. I got you. Give me one of those blocks. I got you. Let me buy a block. I got you. This is where we have to get to with the people who have the consciousness to make these sorts of moves. You've got to become independently wealthy. I'm not saying stop reading. I'm not saying stop studying history. I'm not saying stop digging into the Metronetra and all of that stuff. Fine, great. We're gonna need that, because when we start transforming the Martin Luther King boulevards in all of the cities, guess what's going up? The same thing that every other culture puts up. They put up their language. I can go right on Olive Boulevard in St. Louis, Missouri, and they have about a 2-mile stretch, and you don't see nothing but Japanese, Chinese, and Korean writing on all the buildings. So how cool would it be for you to ride up Martin Luther King Boulevard in every major city in this country, and you see pyramids, you see hieroglyphs, you see the flags of the greats, the red, black, and green, the Marcus Garveys, the Douglases, the all of our legends and our ancestors. How cool would that be, man? So that when other cultures come into our community, they know they're in our community. What's the calling card for our community right now? Dilapidation. How do you know you're in the hood right now? Churches and liquor stores on every corner, pawn shops all over the place. Huh? Yeah, that stuff don't change. And I'm trying to build an army of people that's conscious enough to help change it. And that's what the Black Wealth Movement is all about. And if that's you, text the phrase Black Wealth Movement to 314-874-6887 and bring your talents to connect with the collection of talent that we already have. And we're going to change the world. I'm your man, H Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community. Until I talk to you guys next time, I want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. Peace out, y'all.